On Friday, there was supposed to be a vote to get rid of Obamacare for the rest of everyone's lives. And while a lot of people are going like, yes, Obamacare is gonna go, oh, and we're gonna have Trump care, we're gonna be saved, and then you realize, wait a minute, Trump care is going to increase the, and now it's Tuesday, and what happened to Trump care? What happened to repealing and replacing? Yeah, what happened to repealing and replacing the Affordable Care Act? What happened to introducing and having to law the American Health Care Act? What happened? Well, what happened is pretty simple. Nobody came to vote. Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House, had been doing this for 7 years. And it's like, okay, I have this great plan that will get rid of Obamacare. We do not want the Affordable Care Act to work. And, I mean, let's face it. The Affordable Care Act, the ACA, wasn't perfect. There were problems, and, we had... There were places to fix. And so, what happened? They even had the Freedom Bill Caucus, which is a right-wing political group, try to push for this bill to happen. And you have President Trump going like, look, let me put it this way. You have until 2018 if this bill doesn't pass, all right? You either get this through or you're through. And nobody bothered to vote. In other words, the American Health Care Act is dead. The Affordable Care Act is still law. So Obama's probably laughing his head off in his retirement. I mean, he's going like, and they thought they couldn't get rid of my laws. Simpletons. And well, pretty much that's what all the Republicans are in the government at this point. They're not thinking. They're pretty much I mean, there might be some that are wise enough, but let's face it. Paul Ryan had this bill for this idea for 7 years. 7 years. My brother has been dead for almost 7 years. I still grieve for him. And yet this guy decides to try to screw 24 million people out of the Affordable Care Act, increase premiums by a lot. I mean, by hundreds more, maybe thousands. And what happened? Nobody bothered to show up. I mean, there are excuses going around. I mean, some of them are going like, no. Paul, listen. This isn't even enough. All right, look, I know you're increasing premiums. I know you're cutting. I know you're giving us tax cuts, but come on, this is just not enough. We need to do more than this one. You have other Republicans who are going like, well, my constituents are going to be furious if this passes. So we need to work this out. We need to change this. And President Trump going like, okay, well, listen, healthcare is complicated, but this is simple. It wasn't. And let me tell you what wasn't simple. Getting the people to vote. I mean, we're seeing Donald Trump as probably the most hated president of the United States history. His approval rating is down to 37%, which is pretty pathetic. And if you put Bernie Sanders into there, he's already got an approval rating of 61. That's a big difference. And that was conducted by Fox News, of all people. Yeah, Fox News. The right-wing conservative group. The conservative network that was bashing Obama for all he did right. And when Fox News knows that you're doing something wrong, that's a big telling. And now the blame game is all around. I mean, there's still the blame game going around in the Democratic Party saying, why didn't Hillary win? This would have been perfect for her. And then you have others going like, you see, this is why Bernie Sanders was the best. But no, we had to listen to a feminist. We had to listen to Debbie Wasserman Schultz because we didn't know what we were doing. We wanted to have a female president of the United States. My God. The people have just hired idiots in the government, and that is just a shame. But let me go back to the topic. The blame game had gone around since the first hour that Trumpcare failed. And President Trump's going like, well, let me see, I blame the Democrats because they're not the ones who are supporting this bill. And he's got a point in a sense, because let's face it, the Democrats saw this bill and said, we don't like it. No, this is way too draconian for us. But, Republicans have the Senate, Republicans have the House, Republicans have the White House. So why should he be worried about a few Democrats? And besides, if the Democrats did say no to this bill, there were still enough Republicans to make it pass. Regardless of whether or not the Republicans, whether or not the Democrats had voted no, this still would have passed because the Republicans had the majority. But apparently it didn't pass. So what happened? So I mean, Trump does have a point that the Democrats didn't vote, but he's wrong in saying that it's on the Democrats as an entirety. Now, while he still blames the Democrats, he did have one way of blaming Paul Ryan. I mean, it came out pretty much of a surprise. He had posted a tweet. His tweet was, "Watch Judge Jeanine on Fox News at 9 o'clock Eastern." And apparently, Judge Jeanine Pirlo did not disappoint. Her opening statement is that Paul Ryan should step down from his spot as Speaker of the House. That was just brilliant. Now, I can look at this one of two ways. One, it was just a pure coincidence. President Trump is just throwing a bone to Judge Pirlo. And, we can always go like, oh, shoot. And that was not supposed to happen. Or, the second option is that this is his response to the videotapes that Breitbart came out with, saying that Paul Ryan had disliked Donald Trump. And this was his rebuttal. You can look at it several ways. I could also look at other ways of saying it, because this was Speaker Ryan's bill. This wasn't President Trump's. Despite the fact that he had constantly said during his presidential campaign that on day one he would get rid of Obamacare. Day one. It was day 64 when they tried to get Trumpcare into office, and it failed. Yeah. It's like I'm right now throwing a bone to President Trump because, let's face it, this wasn't his bill. This was Paul Ryan's bill. And Paul Ryan has now become the laughingstock of Wisconsin and of Democratic members. And you have a lot of people who are going like, well, you see, this is what happens. And Donald Trump wants to say we're winning. And we're going to be winning. And we're winning. And we're going to be tired of winning. And we're going to say, no, we're going to keep winning. We're going to keep winning. Guess what? Donald Trump, you lost.